Hello, and welcome to the 7th edition of the Globe and Mail Craft Club. I apologize for the late start. We had some technical problems on this end, which I think we're all becoming pretty accustomed to as we move our lives online and have Zoom meetings and Zoom birthdays and everything else. So it's frustrating, a little unpredictable, but also kind of amazing that I'm hosting a craft club live from my dining room with someone across the country and all of you, wherever you are in this great country or indeed the world. So it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm really excited to spend the evening crafting with you and with our guest. I'm Jana Pruden. I'm a reporter at the Globe and Mail. I usually write features, sometimes breaking news, often crime and things that are not so wonderful. And during this strange time, I'm also hosting this pop-up craft club. So hello, if you're joining us for the first time tonight, welcome, and hello to all of our regulars. Please get in the chat and tell us where you are, where you're watching from. We love to hear from you. A reminder that this class and all of our previous classes are available on our website. That's tgam.ca/craft club. You can always find links to things on our Facebook page as well, Globe Craft Club. And I really encourage you to sign up for our parenting and relationship newsletter at the Globe. It's a great newsletter, and it always has the latest on our craft club activities, things we're doing, and upcoming classes. Also, subscribe to the Globe and Mail. The Globe pays me to do this so that all of you can attend. And I think it's a really wonderful thing. We have a great sale going on. So no one's asked me to plug the Globe, but I really do encourage you to subscribe. It's a great paper. And always, please share your projects, whether it's what you make with us tonight, what you make going forward with the skills that you learn, or other crafts that you're working on. I love to see your quilting and your collages and all of the wonderful things that you are making. As I said, this is our 7th class of the 10 that we have planned for this series. And our next class is going to be on April 27th, watercolor, with Vanessa Ansa and Ashley Gale of artistsonline.ca. Watercolor has been requested many times, and I'm pretty excited to try it. I had a bad watercolor experience with a soggy mess of a picture years ago, so it will be really fun to jump in, and Vanessa and Ashley are amazing teachers, and I can't wait to work with them. Watch for details and our supply list on the Facebook page, and of course tgam.ca/craft club. And tonight I am so incredibly pleased to have Chantal Larocque with us, and her business is called Paper and Peony. She's also the author of this gorgeous book, Bold and Beautiful Paper Flowers, really fantastic book that is one of the most colorful and fun things I've seen in a while. And, you know, at a time when things are a little bleak, I don't know where you are right now, but in Alberta, where I live, it's a little bit of a scary time again and a stressful time. And every time I talk to Chantal, she is so colorful. She creates these things that are just so full of joy and beauty. So I'm so happy to have her here and to teach us this art of hers. Hello, Chantal.
Hello, hello.
It's so wonderful to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And you're in New Brunswick, of course.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited to get started, and you had us doing lots of cutting with your template. I was up late last night getting a callus on my hand and maybe cursing you a tiny little bit. But I think maybe we should just jump in a little bit and talk a little bit about paper flowers.
Sure. So I guess you print out the sheet. Like, I wanted to make sure that it fits completely, like the 8x11. So you have the sizes, they're not too small to cut off. So, and I added the quantity and color wise, like I mentioned to you, it's what your heart feels, like what you wanted to experience with. Like, I had my little cutout vases that I hand painted with black stripes. I even used some printed papers, really pretty, metallic, you know. I even, for the ones that I use for my own project, for the photo, I used ink, like blue ink and stamps to create that kind of a China look. I really like that, So, I mean, the sky's the limit. Like really, what you can create with paper, color-wise and style-wise, there's no limit.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into paper flowers and what you love about them?
Sure. I started, with scrapbooking. Like I mentioned, when my father passed away, I started to experience with paper and cutting and different kind of embellishments. And this is how I got that taste of, what you can create with paper with just a few little tools that I had at home. Like I didn't invest. Like really, I use chopsticks to curl my petals, or a little wooden dowel that I found at the dollar store. I use spoons from my kitchen drawers or some knitting needles. As long as you have a glue gun and glue sticks and some paper, you can make paper flowers. So it's easy.
I love it. Okay, so I actually had some old construction paper. Sometimes I like to buy paper at thrift stores. You can often find a bag, it's $1 or something. So that's where the construction paper is from. And then I started, I love newspaper. I work for a newspaper. So I made a second set. Maybe this is why I was getting the calluses with newspaper. And I glued them onto cardstock so they would be heavy enough. And hopefully, I don't know what the weight of the paper is. So hopefully it's going to be good. And so what do we do? I don't even, imagining that these piles of paper can become flowers is still.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty something. I'm going to lower my screen so you can see my hands working. So,
okay.
Okay, I think that's good, right? You can see my hands.
That's great.
Okay, so as I mentioned, you had to cut out your shapes, your vase, or like your little containers like this. Oops, sorry, that was mine away. So I'm going to use tonight the one that I printed. I use paint to paint some stripes. I found this old paint bottle that I think I purchased at the dollar store, and I wasn't even sure it was working, but I guess it worked out fine. And then we're going to start to make the larger flower from our project. It's the gardenia from the book, and I think it's on page 34. Let me see, 27. So the 27 or 37?
27, 37.
So the gardenia is the large pink flower that I picked. That's it. Yeah, that's correct. I love this flower so much to add it to my bouquet, or even when I do little corsages or hair flower. Like I just love this flower because it's simple. And there's not too many pieces to cut to make one flower, So that's what we're going to start. So you have, to make one of the flower, you have 3 of the large petals.
Okay.
If you have those pre-cut already, you're just going to take these out. And then, of course, I use chopsticks to curl my petals, or if you have like little dowels, that works too. Sometimes even some people will use their glue sticks. I mean, it's not the best, but you just want something that is, not too thick. Like chopsticks works really, 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 really well.
Okay. So I have a wooden dowel, and I just have a question here. We did have some questions from the audience ahead of time. What colors are going to go where? And I know you really encouraged people to experiment. So I cut 2 piles of these flowers, the newspaper print and the pink. I'm kind of tempted to mix them. Is that something that I can do?
Yeah, of course. I do that sometimes. Like I will have the larger petals or some color, and then the smaller one for the center, another color. So that's totally doable. And like you saw in the book, the gardenia, I even put some ink in the center of the petals, the smaller petals. So you see the pink that comes out from the yellow petals. So you can just play with it. And then like your printed paper, like the newspaper, personally, what I do when I have clients, I say, oh, well, can you make a roses for a gift or anniversary gift? With my parents' wedding vows or something like that, very personal. So they send me the text. I print it on my own paper to guarantee the quality of the finished product. And it turns out so nice. And then you can add some ink, at the edges of the petal to add that distress look. So really, If you're into scrapbooking a little bit and you have some supplies, some inks, you're not sure what to do with that, paper flowers will love it.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm taking 3 of these petals.
Yeah, we're gonna start right away. I'm really excited about this. So we're gonna take those little pieces of paper and transform them into 3D paper flower.
Okay.
So, the larger petals, I use my stick and then I just curl each side, one side up and one side down. So when I don't know if you can't see, so it looks one side. Is the angle of the camera okay? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. One side up and one side down, and when you do it like this, it looks like.
Right. Okay, I see. I was doing it the wrong way. So one side, and we're sort of going, I guess.
So basically, when you have your all 5 petals curled like this, it looks like, for me, it reminds me of a pinwheel.
Yes. Okay. And are you going in the same direction? So this one I've just done on the, I guess, left side of it, I go up, and on the right side, I go down. Should I be following that same pattern with each one, or can I shake it up a little bit?
You can shake it up a little bit. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So you need to prep your 3 petals.
Now, and do you ever, so I admit last night I was getting a little bit lazy. I was cutting some piles of paper at once. So some of my flowers may not be perfectly cut. Do you ever say roll flowers multiple at a time, or does it really have to be done one by one?
No. I often just, when I worked on large projects, I can curl and cut, 2, 3, 4 petal layers at the same time. So like I'm cheating sometimes.
Okay.
I just curl away, and especially if it's a repetitive, when I have to do like hundreds of, let's say, gardenia, and I have to curl. Well, if I do 100 gardenia, so it's 300 petal layers. So obviously I'm going to double it or triple it. And then I put myself, on a good chick flicks, and then I just curl away and then assemble my flowers. But yeah, you can do that. Definitely. Before, when I use scissors to cut all my petals, I would definitely cut 2, 3 petal layers at the same time, just to save some time.
Okay. And we did, I think there was some other people who were feeling a little bit of sore hands last night. There's a few tricks that we were talking about before we came online. One of them is to have your husband cut a bunch of things for you. Do you want to tell me about that trick?
Well, I'm really, really fortunate. Like, I just trace my petals on a sheet of paper, and then I pick my colors from cardstock. So if I wanted to do 100 pink flowers, so I just pick the paper, and this is here, like it's about 50 petals, leaf that he cut out with a scroll saw. Like I said, I have the best crafting husband ever, because you always tell me, so Chantal, do you have any petals to get, to cut today? And and I'm like, sure. So it's a lot of fun. I became lazy now because my husband does that for me. So sometimes when I work on a project and I need a certain color for certain petals and I have to cut it by hand, yeah, I'm not a happy camper because I'm spoiled.
Okay, so good trick. Recruit whoever is around. Husbands are great if you have the kind of husband who will do that for you. Thanks. Not sure about mine. That worked so great doing 2 at once. I just sped through those ones, so I have 3 here that are done. And just a reminder to everyone who's watching, feel free to ask questions, and I'll put them to Chantal. So I sometimes forget, I feel like I'm just here crafting with everybody, but a reminder that definitely ask us if there's anything that you want to know.
And it's fun for me too. When I get into crafting, I forget, and then I'm like, oh yeah, right. I have to explain this step here, and then I go a bit over myself. But okay, we're gonna start to assemble those 3 petals, just in case if some of our viewers are using white glue. It takes a couple seconds to set before we add the other layers of petals. So we're going to start with this. So what I do basically is I just take all the petals and kind of curl them in between my fingers like this. So it just holds. And then I will dab a little bit of glue at the bottom and add it to the first layer of petals.
Okay.
But you want to make sure that you stagger the petals, that they're, alternating, so it covers all the gaps. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Be careful when you put it in because it's hot. So this is when you have two. So you see it's kind of I alternate the placement of the second layer.
Right.
And I will repeat the same thing with the third petal layer.
So I've been warming up my glue gun. Every crafter knows these little things are, they will burn you.
Oh, yeah.
I've been burnt by this little guy many, many, many times. So I'll really try not to burn myself and or swear when I do, because we have a long history, this glue gun and I. How many glue guns did you say you went through when you were making the flowers for the Chateau Frontenac?
Well, it was a big project. I had 3 days, 300 glue sticks, and 3 glue guns.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, after that, I just kind of crashed a little bit. I'm like, no paper flower for me today. I'm done.
So I have another glue stick to load in. I think that you should tell this trick that you taught me with a glue gun when you have a new stick.
Yes. Like when for years, I've been doing this paper flower for over 10 years. And every time I would put a new glue stick, sometimes it takes a couple of pumps before it sticks in. Otherwise, it just fell off on my floor. Like at the end of the day, I would have like 20 glue sticks, laying around my chair. But I gave a class a few before COVID, like here in town with the local ladies. And I was telling them the story about the glue guns. And of course, my husband, when he comes and he helps with the vacuuming, he always, have to pick them up because, and I was just telling this little story. And she says, well, why don't you just put some glue on your stick before you put it in, and then it will just bond with the one that it's inside. And you know what? I haven't lost a glue stick since. Like, really.
That's a very good idea.
Like for me, at that point, after 10 years of doing paper flowers, that was the light bulb moment. Like really, I was like, how can you think of that? So thank you so much, for enlightenment.
I would imagine there might be some craft club people having a similar light bulb moment as I did. Also, your husband vacuums too, so.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty smart.
Really lucky. Here's a question from Mary Parker. Hi, Mary. She's wondering, do you use regular scrapbook paper?
Well, I like to use, it's the weight of the paper is 65 pounds. Sometimes the scrapbook paper is a little heavier. Like it's beautiful, like for the printed, like they have beautiful patterns. You can make some flowers for sure. That's not a problem. It just sometimes when you get into the smaller pieces or the flowers that have more like delicate details, it's just a little bit more complicated. So that's why I don't know, like I buy my paper at Michael's, and it's usually the 65 pounds, the recollection paper pack that I like to buy because it's a smooth paper. And I've been making my flowers with that kind of paper for years. And it's so easy to work with. So.
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Mary. So here I have my little glued, and it is indeed starting to look like a flower.
Fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to curl our metal piece. It's like the medium size, you have 2 smaller ones, so it's the biggest one of the smaller ones. And then this one here, we want to curl each side of the petals up like this. Okay.
Now, wait, that's the large size, or that's the one where we had just 2 of them?
It's the one that you have 2 of one. You have 3 sizes. You have the large, the medium, and the small.
Yes.
So it's going to be the medium.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have 2 of that.
And each petal is being curled up?
Curled up, yeah.
Okay.
Just like this. So.
It's quite relaxing.
And like I mentioned before, paper flower making for me is so wonderful. Like you take little pieces of paper, you shape them a little bit, you add some glue, and then you have a 3D flower. Like it makes me happy. Like for me, after 10 years, I still feel the magic. So
yeah, I mean, this is literally Saturday's newspaper that I plucked out of the recycling bin. And I had some scraps of cardstock from the printer that were still a bit, a little bit of writing on them. And here they are becoming something pretty. Saturday's crossword for those of you who
there you go.
Didn't get to it like me. I had all these plans, I was saying to my husband the other day, I don't know how we did it all when we used to leave the house, because I still feel like we're pretty busy and we're not leaving the house very often. Okay, there's my little pieces.
Perfect. So like I said, we're just going to do it as, one step at a time, because just in case some of our viewers have white glue. This little piece here, you wanted to take the curls and just make them face the table.
Okay.
And then with your fingers, you just want to curl each of the petal up like this. So it looks like this.
So that's really going kind of backwards, we can say.
Like upside down.
Okay.
And I'm going to add some glue at the bottom here of my, see that little, and add this piece to the center of the flower. And you have to be careful if you use like hot glue, you just make sure that you use a stick to make sure that it goes inside. So that's the first layer of my center that I just add to the flower.
And again, trying to stagger them a little bit.
Yep.
And of course, we're both using glue guns, but as you've said, you can use white glue as well. Could you use a glue stick?
I never worked with glue sticks, so I cannot say yes, go ahead. And I don't know how the flower will last. I just know white glue, once you let it dry a little bit, it does, the bond is pretty good with the paper. So
yeah.
We're going to repeat the same steps with the smaller piece.
Okay.
If you cut it in yellow or pink or whatever color, that's fine. This is it's going to be like the final piece for the center of the flower. So I'm going to go ahead and just it's very small, so you just kind of have to pinch it.
Okay, so I'm a piece behind because I'm still doing my medium one.
So you just add one, to your flower.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, just one. Then we're going on to the smaller size, the little baby one.
Yeah, okay. Not the baby one. It's the one that I said there's eight.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry, I'm behind.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so I have one of my little 8s and I'm curling up its pieces the same way.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have a question, Suzanne Mellinson. Hi, Suzanne. She says, I saw that you painted the vase, but do you ever paint on the petals?
I do. I use a lot of ink because the ink dries really quickly. Like just some distressing ink, like the Rangers that you can find at craft stores. But paint, like sometimes when I work on very large paper flowers, I use spray paint, sometimes in metallic color if I cannot find the paper. And of course, the little paint, acrylic paint or chalk paint. I love to work with chalk paint because it dries really fast. And I just love the texture of it too. So yeah, you certainly can use paint on your flowers.
And do you usually paint before and then cut the paper and do it, or do you make the flower and paint after it's done?
Well, it depends on the flower. If it's the large ones, usually with the spray paint, I spray paint after they're done. So, and then I put my mask on it and I try to lift some of the petals and then try to cover the whole surface. When I'm working with little petals like this, especially I like to distress the edges of my petal or the center with my ink or paint before I curl them. It's just a year or two, and then it can dry. And once you curl it, you can add it to your flower. So is your little petal ready, Jana? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you put it inside. Okay. Well,
I just put it inside.
So this is the last piece of your gardenia. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to just like curl it upside down and then add it inside the flower. See, my gun, this little gun is not working too hot for me. Okay. And then just one thing too, like with paper flowers, when you make lots of paper flowers and you're enjoying to make like a little bouquet or something, glue strings, just be prepared to have glue strings all over.
I think all the crafters who've worked with glue guns before will be used to burns and strings.
So this is our first gardenia that we create together.
Okay.
And we really love the idea of using printed paper like that, Jana. It's so beautiful. Gorgeous.
It would be so cool too to use, say, a favorite book or photocopied pages of a favorite book, or as you say, the vows. That's such a lovely idea.
Yeah, I had years ago. I did a wedding for a couple, and they met by doing a play, like in theater. So she asked me to do like the paper flowers with prints from the play. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. This is another project that I'm just gonna erase this, that I did with book pages, and then I distressed the pages of the petals to add that kind of a vintage effect. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So yeah, it's so nice because we get to personalize, like to customize our own little blooms. So if you wanted to go ahead, and we're gonna make our second, because we're making two for our little canvas. So we have 3 of the large petals.
Okay.
And then I have smaller ones and a medium ones. And I'm going to show you because, oops. Since I didn't mention about colors, with on the sheet of paper, like with the templates, because I want people to use their own colors, I'm going to show you how I'm using the yellow center for my flowers. So you'll see it's really pretty when you add some different color. So the large petals, like we did for the first time, we're going to curl them one side up and one side down.
Okay. So because I'm a little bit of a rogue crafter, I'm just doing a pile at a time.
Yes. Well, I find sometimes it's easier to hold it in, between the fingers when it's a little thicker.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to go too thick, because sometimes, like especially if you decide you wanted to do like a dozen of gardenia or some flower, then you just wanted to give your fingers some slacks.
Mm-hmm. I can see how a chopstick would work really well because of the, usually it tapers.
Yeah, and of course, like I use a lot of those little wooden dowels. They work really well, dollar store, that you can buy a whole bunch. But the chopsticks, I found it's just the grip in my hands. Like over the years, you just discover tools that you just can't live without. And these chopsticks have been by my side for 10 years. Like same with my little scissors. When I first started doing scrapbooking, I have those tiny little scissors. I just can't go without. So once your petals are all curled like that, we're gonna start to assemble the flower like we did again, just to create a little cone between your fingers like this. Add that, dab some little glue at the bottom.
Okay.
First. And then when you add your layers, you make sure that you alternate, like you stagger the petals, so it covers all the surface, all the gaps.
Okay. How many paper flowers do you think you've made in your life?
Do sometimes my husband and I talk about that, and like you said, we just mentioned that last week. He says, you couldn't fit all the paper flowers I made in the house. Like really, like when you calculate all the giant walls that I did, like flowers from 4 feet diameter, and then walls that are like, 12 feet, and then 12 feet high, shipped all over the world. I don't know. No, I thousands and thousands and thousands, if not more. I mean, I lost count.
Does he ever buy you real flowers anymore? Do you like real flowers, or are you all paper flowers now?
Well, you know what they say. There's a French expression. Un cordonnier mal chaussé. You know, like the shoemaker that has no shoes. I don't know how you translate that.
Right, yes.
Well, that's me. I have the flowers here in my studio because I did a class this weekend. So on Zoom I teach paper flowers. So I did this class of giant paper flower, and I teach also how to install them on a surface. So that's why I have flowers behind me. And the little project that I have around is the projects that I designed for the classes. So I have to take pictures of them to show, our viewers. So, but it's going to be the final product, when you finish your paper flowers. So, but yeah, in my house, and my husband, he used to buy me a lot of flowers during the summer. He's a gardener expert. We have flowers all around the house. So beautiful, zinnias, and oh my goodness. So, but yeah, no, I think he feels that I don't really need flowers in the house anymore.
Okay, so I'm done my big ones, and then I'm moving to my medium size, right?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
color them just like this, Jana.
Yep.
And then, of course, and we did the same thing with the little one. And I'm going to use the yellow for this one, so to show people how beautiful they can look when you add a different color. And if I had my ink not too far, I would have probably tipped the ink, the tip of my yellow flowers with pink ink. It would have looked pretty.
Oh, that's nice.
It's just, some idea. And then when I assemble my flower again, I make sure that the curls are facing the table when I put them up, so they're upside down like this. And I didn't a little bit of glue into the center of my flower. And now I'm going to add the final step in a different color.
I think sometimes people are a little bit afraid of like mixing and matching colors. And of course, a lot of the sets that we see of things might be very color coordinated. Do you want to talk about your feeling about color, things that you think about when you're deciding what to put together or how something should look?
Yeah, I'm a perfectionist, so I like the color to be well balanced, to match. I'm the person, I don't do sketches. Like if people ask me to do something, I don't. They just give me, okay, well, let's see, my event or my wedding or my bedroom is this color. Can you do something? And then I have a vision in my head. That's what I did for Chateau Frontenac. She showed me an inspiration photo and then the decor of the place. And then I just came up with a combination of colors. And it just worked out so well, But yeah, I tend to, I like things to be perfect. But I'm learning to be more relaxed about that, like. But that's life, I guess. Like this is a bouquet that I did. It's a bouquet that I'm teaching on Zoom, And someone asked me if we can do it in the Tiffany blue, that breakfast at Tiffany kind of color, Tiffany blue. So I'm like, yeah, sure, because paper flowers, that's the beauty of it. Like you can go like really wild with colors, but I make sure that all the colors are well balanced,
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I haven't been talking as I've been wrangling this little petal in my mitts. But just as a reminder, what I'm doing is, we're holding the petals together. I'm putting a little blob of hot glue, and then I'm going to stick it in the middle, slightly staggered. And that was my second. I kind of put them a little close together there. That was my second of the slightly smaller size. And now I have the two smaller ones, and that was the one that we had 8 of, correct, Chantal?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have, and I'm gonna stay with purple. And can you remind us what we're doing with these ones?
Okay, the little ones that I asked you to cut 8, it's because you needed 2 for the large flowers.
Okay.
8 for the center of your large flower. And then the other 6, it's to make the smaller flower that I added to my project, you know, like even in the book, like I have a chapter that is mini flowers as fillers. I think it's nice that you make bouquets, but if you can make smaller ones to complete your cluster, like these little ones here, I think it's really good. So, and then what's fun with those smaller flowers is that you can put pearls or rhinestones in the center if you wanted to add some glitter, like some sparkle to your bouquet. So it's a lot of fun with the smaller flowers to do that.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Okay, so I'm rolling the leaves up again, and this one will be, oopsies, shoot it off into, so this one will again be facing up when we glue it in. Okay.
Well, you have to the petals are facing the table.
Okay.
You turn, yeah. And
okay. So then I feel like I should have done the other direction. So I'm just going to quickly do another one because
if I can just give you a trick. If
yeah.
You have scissors, if you can even cut even deeper to the center.
Deeper to the center. Okay.
The center will be a little tighter. Like you see, like mine, how closer it is together.
Right. Okay. Okay. So this is slightly a challenge I've created for myself by having paper that's different on the top and on the bottom. Okay, so there we go. I'm forming it.
And if your stick is, I think I sent you a smaller one too, like a little smaller dowel. You can just pinch it with your fingers too.
Oh, cute. Okay.
The curls are tighter. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do that. So in terms of cutting out petals, do you have any tips or tricks to people who get tired of cutting out petals?
Well, obviously, I cannot send my husband all across the country to cut the petals for you. But for me, when I do a smaller project like this one, we're doing the smaller yellow petals. I'm fortunate he cuts these ones, like the one that are about 1 inch diameter. But the smaller one, sometimes I buy, like, you know, those punches that I found at the craft store or Walmart, or I just find, like, when I see a smaller punch, the shape, if it's a snowflakes or whatever, I just think automatically the center of some flowers. You know, you can just, with scissors, you punch a whole bunch, and then you can modify them by curling them different ways. And then it just makes it a lot easier than cutting everything by hand. So, yeah, it's punches are my best friend.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so here I have my little guy, and then it's currently curled up. So I want to collect the petals.
Yeah, you wanted to, the curls are facing down, and yeah, exactly.
Yes,
so
got it.
Okay. At the bottom, and then that's going to be the center of your flower. It's going to be gorgeous.
Okay, and we have some comments. Jody Salmons loves the bling. I think that's a great idea. Thanks, Jody. Thanks for joining us. And a question from Wendy. Hi, Wendy. How many petals in total are there in the large flower? She's asking 3 large, 2 medium, and 2 small.
Actually, it's 3 large, 1 medium, and 1 small.
Oh.
Yeah. I think Anna, you went with your heart. You added it.
I went with my heart. I have a slightly fuller flower. So,
but I mean, if you wanted to add more layers and make it fuller, go ahead. It's that's the beauty of it. Now you have the basic technique to shape the petals and then mount the layers one on top of the other. The rest is all you, really. Like it's just that you know, that fun.
Yeah, right. So I was just doing it to express myself because I felt like a 2 medium layer person. But the correct answer, according to Chantal's technique, 3 large, 1 medium, 1 small.
Small.
Okay, awesome. Brenda saying so beautiful. She's probably talking about yours. Mine are still in development. And a question from Kelly Glasner. Good question. What kind of scissors do you use?
Oh my goodness. I use any pair of scissors. After a while, you just need new scissors, any kind. I have these small ones. Like I said, I purchased over 10 years ago at Michael's, and I don't even remember, there's no name on it. Like, so if I lose them, I don't know what I'll do because they're so comfortable, and I'm just so used to work with them. But when I have to cut a lot of large petals, like let's say you wanted to do a backdrop, because in the book there's a chapter that I teach to make giant paper flowers. That's a lot of cutting. I use the Tim Holtz scissors, like with the big, there's soft handles. I mean, you can cut up to 6 sheets of paper at the same time, and I'm fine. And they have there's little teeth, so when you go around and do the curves, it's very easy. Like it just follow the lines so easily. So it's the Tim Holtz scissors, and you can see like the handles are really big and they're like a rubbery, super comfortable. So.
Yeah, I have many pairs of scissors. I really like scissors. So I have, for my embroidery, I like those little scissors for thread. And I know there's some people who really are firm about there's paper scissors and fabric scissors. I sometimes start that way, and then scissors end up cutting, herbs and paper and fabric. I cut my petals with these scissors, and they seem, I don't even know where these scissors came from. They're just in my craft box somehow.
When they're brand new, it's just magic. I mean, it's just so smooth and it's so nice. And after a while, when I start to get frustrated, I realize, okay, Chantal, you need a new pair of scissors. So yeah, that's a new pair of scissors. But cutting can be like a workout. But I mean, that's the whole part of the project, right? And if you're comfortable with your scissors, with your hand, like for me, I have the smaller ones for the smaller petals, and then I have my bigger ones. If you're comfortable, it fits well, and it's just for paper, then you're good to go.
Yeah. Okay, so
this is so nice, Jana. It looks so beautiful.
Thank you. I owe it all to you.
We're gonna make our little yellow flowers for our project. So, like I said, I cut. You should have 6 of the. I think that's about 1 inch diameter, right? Flowers, petal layers, and then 2 mini ones. So these ones here, it's really easy. I just curled them like we did with the center of the flower. Just each of the petals curl the same direction.
Okay.
So, and then, of course, there's smaller flowers. And when you're going to get to the tiny ones, I'm going to show you how I do that. So I just kind of pinch it really tight. And then as for the smallest one, I take this thin part of my chopstick and basically just pinch. So if you have sometimes I will use some corsage needles or the stems. If you have some wire stems like this, it makes it easier because it's so tiny. Just want to
okay. So, and these are all being twirled upwards, are they?
Yeah, we're going to mount it upside down, but they're all curl the same direction.
Okay, so then I'm going to do mine upside down so that they curl upwards as newspaper.
Right.
Again, added this little level of difficulty for myself.
Yeah, especially if you do some distressing with ink, if you just put ink on one side with and you just want to make sure that you curl the proper. So I'm going to turn everything down. Oops, I forgot to.
And how many are we doing right now? All of them?
2, because on our little surface, there's room for 2. So
okay.
We're going to make 2. But I mean, the quantity that I gave you, you need 3 of the petals and 1 mini ones to make a small flower. If you want to make more smaller flower, it's all you go ahead and do that.
Right. So I'm curling 2. Is that right?
2, for 2 flowers. So you need 6 petals, eh?
Okay, got it.
6 petals, yeah. So it's 3 per flowers of the 1 inches, and then the other one that is about 1/2 inch diameter, you have 1 per flower.
Okay.
Just like so.
Okay, so I'm just rolling. You know, you sent me a couple of packs of flowers, which are so beautiful, and I kind of feel like maybe we should have a contest and give them away to people. So maybe if people later on the Facebook page just tell me what their favorite flower is, that will be enough to go into a draw for this little beautiful peony pack, and I'll throw that in the mail for you and share that.
That's a great idea.
It's so pretty. I mean, I really feel like this is quite generous of me because I'm very tempted to keep this for myself. But yes, so after, just go on the Facebook page, tell me what your favorite flower is, and I'll randomly draw a name from a hat and send those out in the mail. Some of these are pretty wonky. I guess I was doing them last night. They're not the prettiest looking petals in the world, but Deborah's asking for you, which is your favorite flower to make? And also, which is the hardest?
Oh my goodness, the hardest. It's I don't know really. I think the flower that I find the hardest, it's maybe the hibiscus. Is just because it just needs a little bit more details because there's that long stamen in the center. It's my least favorite flower to make. But my favorite flower is, of course, the peony. I really love it. And then even since the book came out, I made it better. You know, it's like with wine. With time, it aged well, and it just gets better. Even with us ladies, you know, like we just age and we become better. And it's same with my peony techniques in the book. It's beautiful. But after a couple of years that the book came out, I kind of added some steps. And so there's a video on YouTube that I show those extra steps to make the peony even cooler and fabulous. And
oh, that's nice.
The peony, when I make it, it just makes me so happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, so cute. It'd be really cute to just draw in with ink some little tiny ants. You know how the ants open the peonies? Anyway, special contest, and I will mail that for you. Okay, so I think I have all my medium size.
Okay, and then the smaller ones that are about 1/2 inch diameter, I just pinched the tips, and I use my stem. You know, like if you have some little wire stems that are very skinny, you just pinch it.
Okay, because it's obviously those are real little guys. Okay.
So,
I'm finding this very relaxing. I've had a crazy few days and it's quite relaxing. So hopefully everyone's fine to just hang out and fold paper for the next few hours. We could just spend all evening together, right?
So this is how I pinch. Like I just saw a little note, someone asking how I pinch. I just pinch it with my fingers so it looks really tight.
Yeah, so this is that little one.
That tiny ones, yeah. And even the one that is about 1 inch diameter too, like if you find it easier just to kind of pinch it around your chopsticks or your knitting needle or wooden dowel that you found, and so.
Yeah, I can definitely see once you have it bent with the dowel, then it's a lot easier to sort of pinch it in. I have ink all over my hands. I was practicing my lettering earlier.
So when I'm done assembling this flower, it's 3 of the 1 inches and then 1 smaller ones, and then you're going to mount them with glue the same way you did with the other flowers. You wanted to stagger the petals so they cover all the gaps.
Okay.
So I'm going to just dab a little bit of glue. So I added my second petal layer.
And we're going so that we're starting with their curls are down. Is that correct?
The curls are facing the table. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So in this instance, it's actually good that I'm doing them with newspaper on one side and plain on the other. So yeah, putting my curls down. And then the second one we're gluing in also has its curls down?
Everything is curled down.
Okay.
The whole flower.
Okay. Perfect. So little dab of glue in the center and then trying to stagger the petals a little bit.
So this is how it looks with the 3 of them.
Oh, fantastic.
And on my list, you know the little center here, like I said, like you can add some rhinestone or pearls or even, let me see, I think I have like a felt, like a marker, and I'm just going to add some dots.
Okay, so mine's coming together. It's kind of nice to make something nice of all this bad news too. I see some words on here. So once I have my 3,
then you add your tiny little ones, and see, I added some brown dots or black dots. You can add a little marker
after you put
the center. Whoops.
Right. Okay. Sorry. So after you've put the tiny guy in.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, that looks so beautiful, Chantal. And we have some comments coming in. Catherine Clark saying it's excellent. Thank you, Catherine. Thanks for coming. Janice loves the newsprint. She's a woman after my own heart. Thank you. Apparently lots of people are putting their favorite flowers down, so that's great. Lots of interest in this kit. Kelly says she's still cutting. Yes, that was a lot of cutting last night. And yeah, wonderful to have you here. She says she's had a difficult few days, as I think a lot of us have. So wonderful to see everyone and just hang out. Did you turn them upside down? Yes, those are upside down.
Upside down. And see the smallest piece, I don't have rhinestones beside me, so I'm just going to use my marker and I'm going to add like a little bit of a effect.
Right.
Right.
And you just put little dots with your pen, did you?
Yeah, just little dots.
Yeah. I have a Sharpie right here, so I'm going to do that same thing.
That would be perfect.
That idea. I just would assume you always have a rhinestone near you. You're always so sparkly and colorful whenever we talk. I assume there's a big bucket of rhinestones.
Beautiful. I love it. Nice.
And then are we doing a second one?
The second one, yeah. If you wanted to do it like the one in the book, your little center flower, you have to put it upside down.
Okay. Upside down to what we just did, or upside down?
Because I think your last layer of the smallest one, you put it up, you know, with the curl up. That's fine.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
But you know what? I think I can just pull that off and do it correctly so that everyone can see the correct way to do it.
Tiny ones, when you do upside down, you just add the volumes to the flower.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just pulling it off. Everyone makes mistakes. No one needs to know about that. And I think I might actually, so there's a question from Thanita. Will I be able to watch the live tutorial? Yeah, all of the tutorials stay online forever, and you can see all of the videos from the whole series. So you can see them on our website, tgam.ca/craftclub. And there's links get shared often on our Facebook page as well. So you can watch these anytime, pause them while you go make coffee or wrangle children or, you know, attend a Zoom meeting with your boss, whatever you need to do. Okay, so now here I am again. I've chosen an orange one this time. So I'm turning it upside down. Right, so the glue has to go in the middle when it's right side up.
You can even just wait. You can even with your scissors, you can cut them just a tiny little deeper too. So it will make. I'm gonna just lower this. So it makes the flower look fuller in the center.
Right. Okay.
Because the smaller the center is, closer the flower will look. Like you know.
And I'm gonna take this opportunity to trim off my slightly wonky little petals.
But if you wanted to create, like, let's say, like for some scrapbooking project, I will do the same idea with the flowers, but maybe not as many layers, and I will do it a little flatter, so you can still, use it for some cards, and it's still like you'll have a little bit of volume into your envelope, so album, but it's not going to be as 3D, like you can control how deep your flower are by the intensity of the curling.
Right. Okay. So here we are. I'm going to use my little dowel to kind of get it in there. So that's correct? Did I do it correctly this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And I do see that as I've done this one, I tried to stagger the petals. They could have been staggered a little bit more. So that's a learning.
I think the trick is because with the hot glue, it moves a little bit. So when I put my petals one inside the other, I just hold it for a few seconds.
Yeah.
With my chopsticks or my dowel, just to make sure that it's staying.
Yeah.
You can move it around, especially when you do large flowers like the dahlia or the peony that are like 5 or 6 inches diameter. Sometimes they're like, hey, how come you moved?
Yeah.
So you can just quickly place it back and then hold it until it sets, the glue sets. So
right.
A little trick like that.
So should I now be quickly doing my other one?
Yep.
Another small flower. Okay, so it's 3 of the sort of medium-sized ones and then a tiny one, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're facing down again.
And while you do that, facing down, all the petals facing down.
Got it. And I'm gonna take that to heart this time and just really try to make sure that they're fully staggered. Hold them for a sec while they dry.
Exactly. Yeah. And then if you wanted to make it easier, like if you had like a soft surface, like Jana, like your third petal layer, if you just wanted to squeeze it with your, your fingers, I'm going to show you quickly. This is a petal layer that I have. Curl it. And then before you put the third one in, you just, like the curls are facing the table, but you just kind of squeeze them between your fingers. So it just kind of raised it up. Or like I mentioned in the book, one of the techniques that I use is the mouse pad. I use a mouse pad as a surface just to give them volumes when I want the petal to raise up or down.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm doing that and gluing that one on. I always think sometimes it's a good sign when we don't have too many questions because it means everyone's hands are busy.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And then I have my little guy that I folded the wrong way, so I'm going to refold it the other direction.
Is it a newspaper one? Oh, yeah. You have that on the other side, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my rubber cement is slightly coming off, but that's okay.
And then, like I said, like if you have a soft surface, you can just, with the petal facing down, just kind of push it, like do a little pressure in the center, or with your fingers, you just, exactly. And then as a trick, just dab some glue at the bottom of that little piece before putting in it. It's a lot easier than having to put glue inside the flower. It's
okay.
That's how I work. And
this
way you control the amount of glue as well.
Yeah, and probably Oh my gosh, I did that again. Okay, well, it's okay. When I was younger, I really felt like everything you did with crafting had to be perfect. And I sometimes would get very frustrated when I was making something and it didn't immediately look amazing. So I feel it's a good thing that at this point in my life, I
Well, with
feel that.
I mean, it's beautiful imperfection. Like for colors and things like that, I'm a little bit of a control. Like I like to control a little bit my palette. But when it comes to design, with over the years, it's beautiful, Jen. Gorgeous. Over the years, I worked on a project with the fantastic designer on HGTV, Tiffany Pratt. And, she has her book that, to make everything beautiful. And she made me appreciate to things that are not so perfect all the time, but it still looks fantastic, So yeah, I have to, even sometimes when I'm very uptight, I'm like, just relax, Chantal. The paper flowers, like everything's fine. You can only control so much, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, and I think so. There's a little blob of my old glue there, but I think that's, I definitely have something around the house that I'll go find that I can just plop right in there, something sparkly or something that will hide that. And yeah, I agree. There's some things you definitely want to do them properly, but then also accepting that not everything has to be perfect and not everything has to be perfect the first time is a real lesson of craft, I think.
Yeah.
MT Fabry or Fabris says perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Wonderful. I'm gonna share with you another little trick that.
Yeah.
Because now we're at the point where we're almost ready to texture our leaves to mount on our canvas. Like personally, I usually cut that off. If you have even your dowel or anything that's just a little bit more pointy, or the end of a paintbrush and a soft surface like a mouse pad, I like to create some veins. Just you don't go too hard on it because you can poke it through. But if you just mark it a little bit, even with the end of a pen, and see, I don't know if you can see with the camera how it created some veins a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very
add some texture to your leaves.
Yeah.
Subtle. Yeah.
That works really beautifully on this construction paper. It's actually, I'll hold it up in a second. It's I don't know if you can see there, but it actually in person it's quite visible. So
yeah, if I wanted to add this texture to my leaves, I do that. And then, so that's just a little trick. Like with time, I'm like, I think my leaf needs a little bit of a boost there. So, and then of course, with the dowels or your chopsticks, leaves, I like to curl them a little bit. And I use, the technique that it's, we use with scissors sometimes to shave the ribbon to curl. But that's the same, the technique that I call in the book. It's called a shaving technique. And with my dowel, or I just kind of just softly, and automatically your leaf is, and then I do one that is up and the other one. Add some dimension to your leaves like this, softly.
Sort of like what you do when you want to curl a ribbon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some use scissors to do that with their paper flowers. It's just personally because when I work with my whole heart and very passionate. And scissors, the shaving technique with scissors is just I've been going too hard and then ripping everything up. So I just use my dowel and it just works so fine.
So I'm curling mine, and these I also made from pieces of the newspaper.
The canvas project, if you had time, sometimes I like to paint the base, or use a printed paper. Sometimes we use some fabric too, some lace, for the background, just to add some dimension to my canvas. But for this time, I just left it white. These little guys, I find them at dollar store too. Like I like to create little projects that it's accessible. You can find that all over the country, easy to find, And even I think sometimes Michael's, they have sales on little canvas like that, like for such a good price. So you have to look for that. They're so much fun to create. And then when I mount canvases like that, I like to not just mount them on wall, but sometimes just on a shelf as a little vignette. It looks really pretty. So anyway.
Yeah, that's really nice. And of course you could make a board, there's no limit. I think I might do mine on paper because I may want to practice these flowers a bit before I commit to the to the canvas. So I think I might use this beautiful, just bright piece of paper and make a picture this way. That's okay, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like even sometimes if you wanted to, like some people have beautiful albums, like a keepsake albums, and then they wanted to create something, or on a box, like a wooden box, jewelry, trinkets. This is just, there's so much you can do with paper flowers, but yeah, that's a good idea. I use cardboard too, like sometimes an old cutout from boxes, shipping boxes. I like that distressed look of it, it's makes it look interesting.
Yeah, that's such a good point. You could cover it with wrapping paper or fabric or whatever you have, or you can keep the distressed look, do it on some cardboard or something. So assembling,
yeah. Well, this is the fun part. I just want to make sure you guys see okay. I'm just gonna put this one here up. So basically, this is at this point when I teach classes online. I tell my viewers, my attendees, this is you. You create your own canvas. Like the flowers, I give you the techniques. You build some 3D paper flowers. At this point, it's a fun project, and you just let your heart talk. So like sometimes what I do is I will take my flowers, and then this is my painted black and white vase that I really like. And then I just play with it a little bit. I'm like, okay, yeah, I have room for that. And then maybe I'm going to put the yellow flower can be even here at the bottom, sometimes at the bottom of a vase on those famous painting. And then I'm like, yeah, that looks good. And then I go ahead and glue. So this is the big moment. I just want to make sure that my canvas is straight. And also sometimes what I like to use for these, I put under it, those, they're like sticker pads. They're like, they make it so the vase is not completely flat. There's like a little gap between the vase and the canvas. So it's kind of cool too, like to use that.
So I'm gluing my vase on. That's correct. We can go ahead and glue.
So I just put mine, and then I'll add this flower here. We're gonna have to, and then of course to add some pressures, I always work with my chopsticks or wooden dowel. Make sure that it's well bonded on the canvas.
Is there any trick to where the leaves are going?
The leaves, I like that all the time when I do projects. I like to add my leaves last.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to add them, well, not sometimes, often I add them also in between the petals. It makes it more volume.
I'm just kind of committing here.
I'm just going to turn this around so I can see where I'm going. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to add the leaf here, I think. I think that looks good, right?
Oh, yeah, that looks really good.
I love the colors with the black and white. It's so nice.
Here's my last little.
And like I give you those leaves cut out, but sometimes what I do, I just cut it off like this. I rip it off, and I have two, and then I use the third one somewhere else.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah. So. And I'm going to add my smaller flowers.
Okay. Starting to look like a real bouquet, Chantal.
Hey. I think that's what I'm going to do. I just went wild.
That looks beautiful.
So I added a little flower at the bottom instead of, and then the green, I always say when I teaches my class for the bouquet, there's no such thing as too much leaves. Like the greeneries, you add as much as you want. Like if I just love, because the leaves, as you can see, we can shape them and give them volumes, so it makes your project even look fuller.
Just like how the florists beef up your bouquet. Don't be afraid to beef up your own bouquet.
That looks really, really good.
Someone in the comments is saying, wow, nice. I can't tell if it's someone watching or if it's Patrick, one of our tech gurus. And Patrick, I think we're converting him to crafting. He's taking up all kinds of crafting. So that's been an unexpected bonus of
Daddy's going to be
the craft club.
I can come up and say night-night though when I'm done.
It's Patrick. Okay, thank you, Patrick. I can't wait to see your paper flower bouquet. Now, a quick thing, this time has just sped by. 6:17 already, my time. What about if someone wanted to make a flower on a stem? This, is a beautiful mounted look on a canvas, but what about if we had wanted to do one on a stem or do a bouquet?
Okay, I'll show you that quickly. This is, so I have the stems, and I like to use, like this is, in the book, I have a template for the calyx, that's the sepal, the part that I put under the flower. I buy mine by like bulk, by the thousands, and I go through them so much quickly. But if not, you just cut out something that looks like a sepal in the template. You just poke a little hole in the center. I use those round nose pliers. And then the way I mount it, and I've been doing that for years, is with my pliers, I create a little loop like this.
Okay.
Okay. And then this little loop, I'm going to bend it 90 degrees. Like this.
Okay.
And so I'm going to just take one of my flower here. I had to take my canvas apart. And I'm going to skewer the stems in the center of my calyx. I'm going to dab a little bit of glue here. And depending on the size of the flower, like if it's the peony or 6 inches dahlia, then I will put glue all over. But because this is the medium-sized flower and there's not so many layers, it's not too heavy. So I just add glue like this in the center, turn my flowers upside down, and then just add a little bit of pressure. And I'm holding it until I know it's secure. It's with hot glue, usually the bonding is happening quite fast, but this is how I do it.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And I have a flower on stem. Yeah.
Right. And that's the flower you just made. It's no different than the flowers we did, just a different way of attaching.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's nice when you can have, if you know how to make those paper flowers now. If you wanted to have the option to put them into a vase, then you can. So yeah, and it's in the book, the techniques to use the floor tape as well, and the mounting stems. I mean, like I said, I do that for 10 years now, and the flowers, when you do this trick with the loop, they're not going anywhere. They're solid.
Right. Yeah. And just a reminder, here's the book, Bold and Beautiful Paper Flowers. And it really is a beautiful book with so many different ideas. Every single page is just bursting with color and ideas, things you can do. This is obviously just a very beginning look. Compliment from Gail Berman saying these florals look beautiful. It really is an amazing thing. Here's Saturday's newspaper and some old construction paper that I had in the cupboard, and suddenly here I have a little picture and bouquet, and definitely can see I'm being told to turn them around. Here's how my little picture turned out.
Yeah, fabulous.
Pretty pleased with it. And a reminder also that Chantal does teach classes online. She teaches classes where you will get a whole little kit if you sign up like this. So for those of you who want Chantal's husband to be doing the cutting instead of yourself, that's a wonderful option. And I think that brings us to probably the time to wrap up, although I could just sit here all night and chat with you and curl stems and petals, but I'll keep doing that, I guess, after we get off. So thank you so much for joining us. It's just been a pleasure getting to know you. Such a pleasure to have you here sharing your skill. And I really encourage everybody to check out the book, check out some of the projects Chantal has worked on that are so amazing. Thank you to our tech people, Patrick and Deb, for making things run so smoothly despite a couple of minor heart attacks in the moments leading up to going live. And thanks to all of you for joining us. It's really such a pleasure to hang out with people around the country and craft together. A reminder to sign up for our Parenting and Relationships newsletter, to share this video, to save this video. You can watch it again anytime. And then we would love to see your flowers and your projects. Please share them on our Facebook page. And I hope to see you again on April 27th for Watercolor with Ashley Gale and Vanessa Ansa from artistonline.ca. And until then, keep making and creating and take care out there. Thanks for joining us.